We want to turn to Bitcoin. This has been the headline of the moment, certainly all weekend as well as all year. The cryptocurrency started trading futures last night on the CBOE. It has been a wild ride, opening with a $1,000 spike, 1,000 contracts trading hands in the first hours, an exchange halt because of volatility and a website crash, all in less than 24 hours. Two people who are major players in the wild ride are here with me for a First on Fox Business interview. Tyler Winklevoss, Gemini CEO and co-founder, and Cameron Winklevoss, Gemini president and co-founder. Gentlemen, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Wow. Tyler, explain how your firm has been involved in Bitcoin futures so that we better understand really what your role is.
Sure. So on the CBOE Bitcoin futures, they're cash settled, so they need a price. And so our Bitcoin exchange, Gemini, provides that price and is what those contracts will actually be settled into.
Now, I'm going to be pushing back a bit here because there's a lot of people who say Bitcoin is a fraud. Bitcoin doesn't make sense. This is the height of speculation. Why should we trust that Gemini should be setting the price on Bitcoin?
So Gemini is the world's most regulated Bitcoin exchange, period, full stop. We have surveillance. We have an information sharing agreement with the CBOE. They have their own market surveillance. We'll be doing cross-market surveillance. So we'll be doing the same things that any other exchange that's heavily regulated does. And if someone does some funny business, then we will report them to the appropriate regulatory bodies. So we're very confident that it will be no easier to manipulate Gemini or this contract than any other contract out in the financial world.
In addition to our auction mechanism is very tried and true. It's a mechanism used in markets all around the world to settle assets and price them. So we're confident that ours will be a great mechanism for pricing these cash-settled futures.
And going back to the fraud question about is Bitcoin a fraud?
Yeah.
This contract actually allows you to short Bitcoin. So,
That's a good point.
Talk is cheap. Now people can put their money where their mouth is, whether that's Jamie Dimon or someone else, and they can be transparent about how much they're personally betting against Bitcoin or how much they're going to bet against their balance sheet of JP Morgan against it. We've actually provided the ability for the first time ever. This is the first Bitcoin futures contract in the world, and it allows you to easily short Bitcoin for the first time ever. So we really have a truly two-sided market for the first time ever.
This is a really good point because Jamie Dimon was among the first to come out and say, if any of my traders trade it, they're an idiot, they're stupid, and this is a fraud. But you're saying, look, sure, if that's what they want to feel, just short it then.
Absolutely.
Increase the liquidity because that's what one of the things does, right, with this futures exchange, increasing liquidity.
Yeah, it's going to increase liquidity. It's going to reduce volatility long-term with a two-sided market. And we think overall it's going to increase price discovery and transparency dramatically.
Cameron, I want you to explain Bitcoin for us. I mean, there are some people out there who they don't understand what Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
I went to the florist the other day, and the woman said to me, my son is loving Bitcoin. He's making all this money. I don't know what it is, but. So tell us why you initially got into this business and what Bitcoin is.
So we think Bitcoin is gold 2.0. It's a store of value. So today it's about a $300 billion market cap. Gold is at $6 trillion. So we think it could very well go up another 20 times from today. We've been saying this since when Bitcoin was a $1 billion market cap. We've been in Bitcoin for about 5 years. It's grown about 300 times to this point. So we think it's definitely realistic that it could grow and disrupt gold and maybe even beyond that.
So you think that it could actually replace gold as a safe haven or as a hedge?
As a store of value and a hedge, all those things that gold provides in a portfolio. If you look at the characteristics and properties of gold, like scarceability, portability, divisibility, fungibility, Bitcoin equals or surpasses gold. So gold is scarce. Bitcoin is actually fixed at 21 million. Bitcoin's divisible to 100 million pieces. It's way more portable. It's a 24/7 market. I can send Bitcoin to you on your phone right now or anywhere around the world. It's very easy to move.
What happens when I want to get out, when I want to cash in my Bitcoins and I want dollars?
Well, that's easy. You go to Gemini.com. We are a New York trust company. We've been building Gemini for 4 years so that you can go and sign up and buy and sell and store your Bitcoin in a safe, regulated manner. We are the same licensing structure that companies like State Street and Bank of New York started out as trust companies over 200 years ago. So we've taken sort of one of the oldest licensing regulatory frameworks and married it with one of the newest technologies in the world. It's not easy to do, but that's what we've been working on doing, and we think that's why Cboe was excited to work with us and price these Bitcoin futures with the Gemini price.
So how much Bitcoin does Gemini own right now? Or how much Bitcoin do you guys own?
So Gemini doesn't own Bitcoin in the sense that sort of like NASDAQ doesn't own shares of Apple.
How many Bitcoins do you hold?
We're not commenting on that. We're sort of here to talk about the Bitcoin futures
contract. Have you sold any Bitcoin in your life so far?
We've bought 2 things with Bitcoin in the past. I think Cameron bought some Legos. We bought tickets to Virgin Galactic Space. And unfortunately, we really overpaid because Bitcoin went up about 20 or 30 times. And so we learned a lesson. So we don't spend our Bitcoin. We're long-term holders of Bitcoin. We think it's a store of value much more than it's a currency. We think it's an amazing technology. And for the first time, this Bitcoin futures contract is the first of its kind in the world. Obviously, phase 1 we thought of mainstreaming infrastructure was building a regulated spot market like Gemini. Phase 2 is building more sophisticated financial products that allow Wall Street and institutions to get in. The beauty of this contract is you don't have to touch Bitcoin to get Bitcoin exposure. You buy it with cash, and it settles with cash at the Gemini 4 p.m. auction price. And so you can, you get in with cash, you get out with cash, you get the exposure to Bitcoin without ever having to deal with it, to store with it, or even touch it.
But look, when I look at the dollar is backed by the full faith and trust of the U.S. government, the Treasury. What is Bitcoin backed by? Just Gemini?
So Bitcoin's, no. Gemini's a company on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's backed by cryptography, mathematics, and one of the largest computer networks in the world. The dollar being backed by the U.S. government, a lot of people would cynically say that's injecting counterparty risk. If a government's collapse, currencies or average lifespan is 27 years. Bitcoin's more like a gold. Gold's been around for thousands of years. So as long as this math, persists and the security of cryptography that's never been hacked on Bitcoin, and as long as the network and people continue to believe in it the same way they believe in United States as a country or gold as a commodity, then Bitcoin will have value. It's also open source, and it can evolve and grow over time. So the Bitcoin, when we first got into Bitcoin, is a very different source code than today. Obviously, the fundamentals and the rules are very similar. There's always been 21 million. It's fixed. Gold's not fixed. It's scarce. We find gold all the time. And people joke about how, asteroids have gold, and eventually maybe someone will, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos will find gold up there. Bitcoin's actually fixed.
Is there anything you want to make sure, Cameron, that our audience understands about Bitcoin? Because a couple of things that I've said, you've pushed back. Make sure to put out there what you think is most important for us to understand this market.
Yeah, so I don't think you have to totally understand Bitcoin to use it, to buy it and invest in it in an asset class. Similar to most people don't understand how email works, but they use it and they get the benefits of email. So, we've been learning for the past 5 years, and we'll continue to learn about Bitcoin. But I think the easiest way to think about Bitcoin is really to analogize it to gold. That's a very good framework of thinking about it.
What first attracted you to Bitcoin? How'd you have this idea? You are the first.
Yeah. So we were in Europe. We actually were on vacation. We had to get money to our accommodation, and it was so hard to get money from the U.S. to Europe. The joke is, if you want to get money from New York to London on a Friday night, go to JFK, jump on a plane with a bag of cash, and you'll get there quicker than when you actually wire. So when you think of the payments that exist, it doesn't work for the internet. So this is the first money that's built for the internet.
Amazing. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to talk more about this on Wall Street Week. Thank you for joining us this morning.